guys? It's your boy Dylan the Villain coming back at you once again with some more Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. We are playing as the World Wrestling Federation in the year 1997. We're back at it. I am excited to start booking this once again. We have some awesome storylines planned out. And so let's get to it. In an abysmal pre-show matchup, Mike Awesome defeats Mark Mero in 1 minute and 5 seconds by pinfall after an awesome bomb. Mark Mero has been on a losing streak here lately, and he seems to be getting frustrated. After the match, he wasn't even on the main card, and after the match, him and Sable start fighting and fussing at each other as he goes to the back. The segment got a 39. Mike Awesome with a 51. Mark Mero with a 34. Jeez Louise, Mark Mero. Announcing the color commentary gave the match a boost. Sable did some good ring work, and Mike Awesome benefited from having a hot new move. As we know, in previous episodes, Jim Cornette kicked out Chris Candido from Camp Cornette, and he has picked up Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome is a member of Camp Cornette, but Mike Awesome still wants to come out to the ring by himself and do everything by himself. So we are going to move on to our pre-show main event, and it is the Dudley Boys from our developmental territory as they take on the Headbangers, and Bubba Ray Dudley submitted Mosh, but in-ring work, Devon Dudley carried the match, which that is... Thought I would never hear that, but Devon Dudley with a 46, Bubba with a 34, Thrasher with a 33, and Mosh with a 32. Bubba and Devon showed excellent chemistry teaming together. Bubba Ray and Devon are the tag team specialists, along with Mosh and Thrasher, and announcing the color commentary to give the match a boost. The match got a 41, not bad at all. We move on to our opening segment of the night. And it is Vince McMahon as he arrives to the arena. As we know, at SummerSlam, excuse me, as we know, at SummerSlam, Chris Jericho took on Stone Cold Steve Austin for the vacant Intercontinental Championship. Lord. And The Rock ended up costing Steve Austin the matchup, but it was all a part of Vince McMahon's plan. Steve Austin and Vince McMahon pretty much have been feuding for a while here. Vince McMahon, Steve Austin believes that he should be the top star of the company. He is more over than a blimp, you know, more over than an airplane, more over than a rocket ship. And Vince McMahon just doesn't want somebody like that being the face of his company. You know, somebody who drinks beer, who flips the bird, who cusses, who has no respect for authority. And Vince is trying to get rid of Steve Austin, trying to make him quit his job or fire him or trying to do something. Vince McMahon arrives at the arena with his goons and Shane McMahon. And then all of a sudden, in a pickup truck, Steve Austin just shows up. As soon as Vince steps out of the limo last, Steve Austin runs up and starts attacking Vince McMahon, opening up a can of whoop ass on Vince McMahon. And it's Chris Jericho who ends up fighting off Austin. And pretty much pulling Austin off of Vince as Stone Cold starts to beat the hell out of Jericho as Jericho tries to hightail it. The goons kind of stand in the way, Shane and them, and Steve Austin takes them out as security finally comes and puts Steve Austin in handcuffs and arrests Steve Austin as he's being hauled off. It seems like Stone Cold might be spending some time in the county jail here. We are in England. We are at Wembley Arena in England. We are doing a European tour for Shotgun Saturday Night, Sunday Night Heat, Monday Night Raw, Shotgun Saturday Night, Sunday Night Heat, and then the pay-per-view, our English pay-per-view that we do. One night only. So the next couple of episodes will be taking place in England. And so Steve Austin is getting hauled off to jail here by security. The segment got a 100, and Vince McMahon, he's just like, that's it. That's it. I'm done with Austin. I'm done with Austin. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done. As we move on to our opening matchup of the night, and as it is, Ass Dust, the team of Billy Gunn and Goldust, known as Ass Dust, takes on the Hollies. They defend the WWF World Tag Team Championships in a bout that had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Ass Dust defeats the Hollies in 7 minutes and 59 seconds when Billy Gunn pinned Crash Holly with a Fame Asser. Ass Dust makes defense number 1 of the WWF World Tag Team titles. It looks like in-ring work. Goldust, of course, Goldust is going to carry this matchup. Goldust with a 76, Billy Gunn with a 60, Crash with a 46, and Bob Holly with a 44. The ratings might be a little different because we are in England. So certain people might be a little bit more over in England than they are in America. Announcing color commentary gave the match a boost. Goldust and China have pretty good chemistry, as we know. China left Triple H for Goldust in the save, so now Goldust and China are dating. And Goldust benefited from having the fan support. Fans love Goldust. The match got a 69. Of course it did. Of course it did. I couldn't ask for a better rating for a match with Ass Dust in it. I give you that much. But awesome. They defend their titles against the Hollies as we move on to our next segment, which is Stephanie McMahon and The Rock. And as we see, The Rock's talking on his cell phone, and he's just like, yeah, oh yeah, I would love to audition for that movie. You know, oh yeah. Here in the future, I'm gonna be the face of the World Wrestling Federation. Oh yeah, I mean that's gonna bring big numbers to your movie. People are gonna just come to see the movie just because The Rock's face in it. You know, and Stephanie's kind of looking concerned. You know, this is not The Rock that she fell in love with. You know, this is not The Rock that she knows. You know, she didn't fall in love with The Rock. She fell in love with Dwayne. And it seems like The Rock's starting to get a little bit more cocky and arrogant. Last Monday, we found out Stephanie was just like, is the reason you're dating me is just to be at top of the World Wrestling Federation? You know, is that the only reason you're dating me? The Rock assured her that's not the reason why, but as we see, The Rock, once again, not really paying too much mind to Stephanie McMahon here. As they drive, it looks like The Rock has the night off as they're driving around looking for something to eat, as The Rock talks on his phone with his agent, pretty much ignoring Stephanie McMahon. We move on to the next segment. Yes, I understand it's 1997 and they didn't have cell phones back then, but we can make believe. Next segment. Breaking canon here. And we see Kurt Angle, and he walks into Shawn Michaels' locker room, and Shawn Michaels kind of looks at him, and he's just like, what are you doing in here? And Kurt's like, hold on. He goes, look, Shawn, I know that I'm not very liked around here, and I know not a lot of people don't like me, and you know I've had a hard time making friends here. Some people call me dork, you know, a nerd. You know, I don't think I'm any of that. And Shawn's kind of like, well, what are you doing in my locker room? And Kurt's like, oh yes, tonight I have a tag team match against Bret Hart and Owen Hart. I've called Vince and requested the match on Monday, and he gave me the match as long as I could find a tag team partner. And Shawn kind of turns his head sideways a little bit, and he goes, okay, and what does that have to do with me? And he goes like, well, hear me out, okay? I hate the Harts, and it's no secret that you're not a big fan of the Harts either. And Shawn goes, yeah, I guess so. And Kurt's like, well, I mean, you're not booked tonight, and you have nothing going on, so I just wanted to know if maybe you want to help me take on Brett and Owen. And Shawn kind of stands up and he's just like, so you think it's okay to walk in my locker room, look me in the eyes, man to man, and ask me if I want to face Bret the Hitman Hart once again? And Kurt's just like, well, yeah. Well, what's it going to be? And Shawn's just like, what's it going to be? Of course I'll be your tag team partner. He's just like, any opportunity I have to humiliate Bret Hart in front of these fans, I'll jump at any opportunity. And everybody knows that pretty much England is Bret's second home. He's just like, so yeah, of course, I'll jump at the opportunity to humiliate him in front of these fans here tonight. He's like, but you do know that we're not going to be welcomed here in this arena. And Kurt's like, I'm fully aware of that. Me being an American and you being the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn's just like, yeah. Yeah. And Kurt's just like, that's it. That's what we'll call ourselves. And Shawn kind of looks and he's like, what? He's like, that's it. I got our tag team name. The American Heartbreakers. And Shawn kind of just puts his hand in his head and he kind of like rubs his forehead with his fingers and he's just like, Kurt, we're not a tag team. I'm just doing you a favor, which is doing me a favor by taking on Bret. Look, why don't you go back to your locker room? I'll stay in my locker room. And when it's time for our match tonight, I'll be there and I'll have your back. And Kurt's just like, the American Heartbreakers, we're just some sexy boys. And he kind of walks off and he's being goofy and Shawn's just like, Lord help me. The segment got a 100. Tonight's big main event will be the American Heartbreakers, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels taking on the Hart Foundation of Bret Hart and Owen Hart. What a big that's a pay-per-view level main event right there. 2 nights in a row. Monday Night Raw, we had a big main event, and this is a huge main event matchup here tonight. Pay-per-view level main event. We're going to move on to our next segment, which is a qualifying match for the European title. As we found out on Monday Night Raw, we are having a tournament to crown the first ever European champion since we are doing a European tour. In a bout that had terrible wrestling and a non-existent crowd heat, Christian beats Ultimo Dragon in 7:39 by pinfall. Edge got hurt. Edge is sidelined for a few months. And Christian's been going solo. And he's been picking up big win after big win after big win after big win. Pretty much gaining momentum here in the World Wrestling Federation. Beating pretty much everybody who comes up against him. Christian with another big win against Ultimo Dragon. As we know, Ultimo Dragon has beat Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner. Along with some other few legends here in the World Wrestling Federation. But Ultimo Dragon with a 56 and Christian with a 50. The match got a 57. Not bad. Announcing color commentary again, the match boost. Christian advances to the Final Four. And I believe we also have another matchup. No, we do not. We go, and we are backstage in Vince's office, and he has ice on his head, and where Steve Austin punched him in the eye, he has ice on his eye, and Shane's kind of Shane's like, well, you know, like, Austin, we'll take care of Austin, we'll take care of Austin. And all of a sudden, at this time, in walks The Undertaker and Kane. And Vince kind of jumps back in his seat. You know, as we know, The Undertaker killed Linda McMahon a few months ago. In Save. In real life, that's probably been about a year. So I wouldn't expect y'all to remember that. But The Undertaker killed Linda McMahon when he was being controlled by Sting. We haven't seen Sting in quite some time. So the Undertaker pretty much ran Sting off, took control of The Undertaker, and Undertaker is doing his own thing now. No more gimmicks. No more spooky booky stuff. Undertaker is now himself, and he's here, and he walks into Vince's office, and Vince is like, "What the hell do you want?" Undertaker goes, "Well, me and my brother here, we've been talking, and on Monday, I don't believe you understood what I was saying, Vince." Vince is like, "Yeah, well, you won a title shot. Yeah, I get it. You want to be number one contender. I'm sorry, but you lost the match." And Undertaker goes, "Nah, son. I didn't lose. I didn't get pinned. And I didn't submit." And Vince is just like, he kind of sits there and he's like, "Well, you didn't win the match either." And Undertaker kind of, he rubs his goatee with his hands, you know. And he's like, I don't think you understand what I'm saying, Vince. You see, you know what I did to your wife. And you know what I'm capable of doing." And Vince kind of sits back in his seat. And he goes, "You know what my brother is capable of doing too. So the way that I see it, Vince, it's either you give me a World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight title shot, or I'm going to take that title shot." And Vince is just like, "Well, hold on. And he goes, I'll tell you what." He goes, "I'll have my lawyers write up a contract, and I'll let you look it over. But here's what we're going to do, Taker." He goes, "I want you to take care of my problem, and I'll take care of your problem." And Undertaker kind of looks. He's like, "Your problem, huh?" And let me turn my phone down real second. He's just like, "Your problem, huh? Tell me, what's your problem?" And Vince is like, "Steve Austin." Undertaker kind of chuckles and he goes, "What about him? I kind of like what he's doing, raising hell and giving you shit." And Vince is just like, "Well, that's my problem. You take care of Steve Austin and get rid of him, and I'll give you your title shot at the next pay-per-view." Undertaker kind of, he smiles and goes, "All right. Yeah, we can do that." It's like, "I tell you what, next Sunday at the English pay-per-view," it's like, "I'll take care of your problem." He's like, "Put me and Austin in a street fight. And once I beat Steve Austin's ass to a bloody pulp, I'm coming looking for you. Because I want my title shot as soon as possible." And Vince is just like, "If you take care of Austin, you'll get it. You'll get it. I promise you'll get it." Undertaker then puts his shades back on and he goes, "Let's ride, boy. Let's ride, brother." And he hits Kane on the chest, and Kane kind of stands there and he looks at Vince. And then he flips his hair back and he goes out with the Undertaker. We move on to the next segment. So basically, Vince McMahon and the Undertaker made a deal. And Vince says, "You get rid of Austin, I'll give you your title shot." But as we know, Vince also made a deal with The Rock, basically saying that if you take care of Austin, I'll give you your title shot. If you cost Austin the match against Jericho, I'll give you your title shot. And as we've seen, both men, The Rock fulfilled his promise. Vince is pretty much writing checks that he can't cash right now. So we'll find out what happens moving forward. We move on to our next match. which is another European qualifying match, with the winner going to the Final Four. In a bout that had superb wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, Scott Steiner defeats Ken Shamrock in 808 by submission with a Steiner recliner, and the match got a 57. Shamrock with a 58 and Scott with a 64. Announced in color commentary gave the match a boost. Scott Steiner advances to the Final Four of the European Championship Tournament. Our Final Four, I believe our Final Four is Davey Boy Smith, Jeff Jarrett, Davey Boy Smith, Scott Steiner, and Christian moving to the Final Four. Their matches will be on Monday Night Raw and Shotgun Saturday Night, respectively, with the final two meeting at the pay-per-view for the championship. We move on to our next segment, and it is Mick Foley. As we've seen on Monday Night Raw, Mick Foley basically got beat up and jumped out of the flock by Raven, and Raven pretty much said he's a disgrace. He's a disgrace to the flock. He hasn't revoked hardcore wrestling. That deep down inside, Cactus Jack still lives within Mick Foley. Mick Foley loves violence. He can't run away from the violence. And Mick Foley loves the violence. And no matter how much Mick Foley says that he denounces hardcore wrestling, something inside of him is still inside of him that makes him want to be hardcore and violent. Big Show is in the back. As we know, the Big Show is the hardcore champion, and Mick Foley just attacks him from behind, hits him in the back of the head with a chair with the referee as they start the matchup. In about 84, not bad. In a bout that had superb wrestling and great heat, the Big Show defeats Mick Foley in a hardcore match in 7:51 by pinfall after he choke slams Mick Foley through a table. Big Show makes defense number 2 of the WWF Hardcore Championship. Mick Foley with an 88 and Big Show with a 90. Death to Hardcore storyline advanced, but it lost some heat. Mick Foley benefited from looking good in hardcore matches. Mick Foley is laying on the table, pretty much like crying in pain, as Raven and the Hardys walk up. And Raven walks by and he looks down at Mick, and he shakes his head at Mick, and he goes, Mick, no matter what you do, you're not going to win back my favor. It's over for you. It's over. Me and the Hardys, we don't want hardcore wrestling. We refuse to participate, but yet you go out of your way to capture this championship, to give it to me, to try to give it to me, so I can get rid of it, so I can hand it to the foot of one Paul Heyman, so Paul Heyman can destroy the title. A title that this company is stealing from, a style of wrestling that this company is stealing from another company. Stealing their wrestlers, stealing their gimmicks, stealing everything. And you continue to want to revel in violence. Well, Mick, like on Monday, you are nothing more to me. You are nothing. You are lost without a cause. And I have cast you aside to better myself. Mick, I hope you find the answers that you're looking for, because as of right now, you're in a downward spiral, and you will continue to be there. Let's go. As he hits Matt and Jeff as they walk off and leave Mick Foley laying there in pain as the medical staff finally shows up to help Mick Foley. Mick Foley looks pretty banged up from that hardcore match with the Big Show. And Raven pretty much leaves him there. He says, I have nothing to do with you anymore. Like, I know that you did this hardcore match to bring the title back to me and present it to me, but I don't care. You know, I don't care about you. And he's like, if I want the hardcore title, I'll pretty much get it myself. So we move on to the next segment. This segment got a 94. Not bad segment at all. We move on to the next segment, which is our main event. That got a 90. Not bad at all. In an exceptional match, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels defeat Bret Hart and Owen when Kurt Angle submitted Owen Hart with an ankle lock. Angle was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everybody else's in-ring performance. Angle with an 81, though. Bret has a gimmick that is getting stale, so we need to fix that. Shawn Michaels with a 95. Bret and also Owen with a 95. Bret with a 96. And the match got a 90. It advances. The Broken Heart storyline loses heat, though, sadly. Kurt Angle with crowd support, along with Shawn Michaels having amazing form. During this match, Angle was in. Angle and Owen were in. Angle hits the Olympic Slam, puts Owen in an ankle lock as Bret is on the apron. Owen's going to Bret, trying to tag Bret, and Bret's like, nah, I don't want any part of Kurt Angle. As he tries to go in the ring, Shawn Michaels gets in the ring and kind of like stands there like, I'm about to super kick your head off, and Bret kind of just leaves Owen there by himself, and Owen has no choice but to tap out. The match got a 90, not bad. We move on to our next segment, and then after the match, the Undertaker shows up. As we know, Shawn Michaels is the number one contender. Undertaker and Kane show up and just beat the fuck out of Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. They both chokeslam Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, beating the hell out of them. As Undertaker then looks at the hard camera and goes, I'm going to take what's mine. I'm going to take what's mine. And this segment got a 100. My Time, The Broken Heart, and Hell's Fury storyline advances. And we're going to go ahead and finish the show. The show got a 93. Increased our popularity in 34 reasons. Not bad. Not bad at all. Shark Boy. Good old Shark Boy. We're going to check this out. Alright. And I believe I know what that is, and I can't show y'all that. Terry Gordy is injured. Let's see here. Nothing too spectacular going on. Norman Smiley. But ECW Hardcore TV, my name has been Dylan the Villain. Thank y'all for watching this episode, guys. I highly appreciate it. If you are new to the channel and like what you see, the subscribe icon will be over Shotgun Saturday Night. If you like this episode and want to go back and watch previous episodes, the playlist will be right here. And if you want something a little bit more extreme, the ECW, the latest episode of ECW Hardcore TV will be right here. It is ECW in 2001. If ECW pretty much became developmental for the WWF. My name is Dylan Villain, guys, and like we always say here at Pro-Am Gaming, if you can't play with each other, do what I do and do what I'm doing right now and play with yourself.